So this review is in regards to the Soyquick soybean milk maker. So this has been fairly well used. It's time to get rid of. I'll show you in a second. So this little spout is basically where you pour in the beans. I'll show you in a second actually. So what happens is that when you take it out, there's no locking anything, it just sits on top. There's a few sensors right here that's making sure that it actually sits on top. Without it, it'll basically just, once you plug it in, it'll push any buttons, it'll beep. Once you plug it in, this light will turn green. These actually look like buttons and everything, but they're actually doesn't do anything at all. It's a one button process. So what happens is that you'll need to basically fill the water up to this line. It has to be at this section between this lower line and this upper line. If the water is too low, then it'll beep. If it's too high, then it'll beep and it won't work. Basically giving that beep is basically your error message. So like I said, it has to basically be in between those two lines for it to work, or it'll basically beep. Once you have the water in there, you plug it in and basically just push the button. Once you push the button, what happens is that the machine will start warming up the water that's in here, and after it gets to a certain temperature, that's when it will start grinding. As you can see, it's very dirty, and I'll explain that in a second. So this basically is the only part. It just twists off, and that's how it basically comes. You see, this is a small little cup and everything, and the blade that basically chops all the beans. So all you do is basically just push it in here, and then twist it twist it clockwise to tighten it, and that's it. Like I said, you basically take the beans and you pour it in. Like I said, that little cup basically holds this much, your common jam jar size and everything. I fill up my jar to about this much, and I let it soak overnight and then after basically fills up, these soybeans basically expand 1/3 the size when it fully absorbs the water. So that's why, like I said, I basically put this much beans in there, and it'll basically be a full jar by the end of the soaking process. So like I said, you basically pour here, and after you pour here, it basically drops into the spout and grinds it up. You basically put it in before it starts, or you put it in either before you plug it in or while it's warming up. You want to, because after it warms to a certain temperature, that's when the heater will turn, or that's when the blade will turn on and start whacking the beans. It'll whack the beans basically for about 30 seconds. Then it'll basically heat up the water again, and it'll whack again, and after that it will heat up the water again, and after that it will whack the bean basically 3 times for about 10-15 seconds at this last part. And once it finishes whacking the beans, this is how it turns out, pretty much a paste. So the reason I'm using the strainer and a pot, what happens is that after usage, what happens is that the blade is to the point where it stops whacking the beans to the point where you get milk. It's just a watery texture, and that's about it. So what I had to do is basically get a blender and whack the crap out of the beans, put it in a pot and boil it, and then strain it like I would this machine basically would do. But another thing about this machine is that the stupid thing actually starting to leak upon the blade not working too. And as you can see, this is not something small. Common cordage like used for coffee machines and most older computers and everything. But like I said, this thing is not small. So imagine if you're not making soy milk every time, how much room this basically will take in your counter space. And that's my review of the Soyquick machine. Actually, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention. The reason why this is so dirty is that everybody who has this machine will tell you this is a pain in the butt to clean. The soybeans, after basically they're beaten, turns into a fine powder, and it sticks to everything. And that's one of the reasons why the blade is broken.